Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Today, in the world of chess, something incredible happened that has only happened for the second time in decades. We have a world champion, and not just that, a 5-time classical world champion. The last person to do that was Magnus Carlsen, and he could have had a sixth, but he decided not to defend his title. But today, one of our players became a 5-time world champion. Now, if you know the players I'm talking about, you know this game ended, but this match was over. It is Ju Wenjun, it is Tan Zhongyi, it is game 9 of the FIDE Women's World Championship. It is first to 6.5. Ju Wenjun leads this match 6-2, having won 4 games in a row. She had the game today, game 9. She just needs a draw to seal it. Can Tan Zhongyi stop her? If you're watching this far in the future, you know the answer. You know whether this was the final match or whether there was a game 10, 11, and 12. E4, C5, another Sicilian. Now, I fully expected Ju Wenjun to play the Alpine Sicilian because it is very drawish. She just needs a draw. I expected her to kill the game, but no. She played knight to f3, and we got a Rossolimo Sicilian, is what we got. And there's not much to see here. E6, castles, and the knight now reinforces its counterpart. So now if you take, I don't damage my structure. So we get rook e1. The knight jumps to the center. It hits the bishop. So now we have to decide. Ju Wenjun spent a couple minutes here and decided to take, and play c3, striking at that center pawn. The bishop got kicked out. And here, she dropped the bishop back to f1. As silly as it looks, it's probably the best square for the bishop, otherwise it's going to get attacked. The knight drops out, and now we play knight to a3, so that after bishop to e7, we can drop the knight to c2, putting pressure on the black pawn on d4. d5 from Tan Zhongyi. We take on d4, take, and we play d3. That pawn, yes, is fully up for grabs. But we take here first, bishop takes, and now very quickly, you cannot take this because of check. I would be winning your queen. I would sacrifice my bishop and win your queen. So we get castles instead, and now the bishop gets out of the way. Just by the way, you still can't take this, just to be clear. If white plays a waiting move like this, you still can't take this, because now I sacrifice the bishop on h2 and win your queen that way. So you could still set the trap. You don't have to move the bishop out the way, but we move the bishop out the way, bishop to e4. So we can put pressure on b7. Black looks to put pressure on d4. We bring out our dark squared bishop to defend. And then after g6, we play queen to b3. A mistake according to Stockfish from Ju Wenjun. It really likes white's position here, Stockfish. It thinks you can play rook to c1, or you can play g3. It thinks those are the improving moves that white needs to go with. It likes where the queen's positioned at the moment. It doesn't think you need to play queen to b3, because you would be dropping this pawn. Kind of. So you could play here, but then I would play rook a1, probably. And then you would have to find this. And that all gets played. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how the game goes. So we pin the bishop to the queen. You have to play e5, which is found by Tan Zhongyi. It's the only way to defend the bishop. Now we get takes, and the queen slides up. It hits the rook, and it hits the pawn. That pawn magically goes forward. Sorry for the lag. We take. The bishop comes out. It is attacking that pawn over there. So we go here, and now the same pin again. Remember, we pinned like the bishop to the queen. We get the same pin here, but we've got one more rook to defend our bishop with. You can't attack us in time. We've got time to bring our king. Rook d6, now looking to double, so now we have to take. We take with the rook. Tan Zhongyi still has an hour on the clock. We're on move 26. Ju Wenjun is down to 33 minutes, so a little bit of time pressure. I don't know what Tan Zhongyi could have done differently. I really don't. I spent a bit of time after on the way home, because I was at university today. I really don't know what she could have done differently. You get to this position, it's two rooks, it's very drawish. You are going to have to, if you want to win this game, what you need to do, listen very closely, you need to lock your opponent in the bathroom so that they lose on time. That is the only way, if you are grandmasters, as I scratch my eye, sorry about that, that you're going to try and win this position. If a rooks get traded, if one pair of rooks get traded, this is a draw. Kings, it's a draw. So probably dynamically speaking, you've got to keep two rooks on, but this is so much of a draw. And Ju Wenjun forces off a pair of rooks. King to g7, and that's probably all she wrote. We attack this pawn, it gets pushed forward, and g4. Committal move, but a very sensible one. Now we bring the king here and take. Ladies and gentlemen, king to g2, king slides over, king comes up, f6, h4, king f5. Rook h6, king g6, rook back, king f5, rook h6, king g6. The game ends in a draw. There's not much Tan Zhongyi could have done. The commentators were discussing it, and she was very emotional. I will show you the final moments of the game now. In this position, instead of king to f5, instead of playing this, they were discussing playing either rook to d6 or rook to c6, trying to come down here. That's why the move f3, I think it was f3. No, f3 didn't get played. No, f3 didn't get played. So they were discussing it, that after king to h5, you've obviously got this idea to go and win this pawn, which you can't afford. You can't allow Ju Wenjun an outside pass pawn. So they were discussing rook d6, which would allow you to give a check here, or, rook c6, and trying to come down here and cause problems. And that would be the only way. But Tan Zhongyi kind of snaps the losing streak, and we get a repetition. Ju Wenjun has dominated this world championship. Like, Tan Zhongyi hasn't done a lot wrong. I was critical of her in the last game, kind of as critical as a noob like me can be of a GM. She made a couple of mistakes. She made like 3 and 4 moves, but she was trying to play dynamically by that point. She'd lost 3 in a row, and the match was pretty much over. She had to press yesterday. Or in the previous game, not yesterday. Ju Wenjun has put on endgame masterclasses, and it has been incredible. Like, the openings have always come out relatively balanced, and then she just seems to continue to find the best moves, the best plans, and it has been incredible to watch. She's a 5-time classical world champion. And probably now you've got to start talking about her as one of the greatest female players in the world, if not players, period. I know she's only 2580. I don't know if that is that right. 2580. Yeah, she's gained 20 rating points, almost 19.1 rating points in a world championship, which I just think is credible. Like, I've got her thing here. So the first game's a draw. She loses the second game. But then it's a drawing game, and then she wins again. In game 3. Game 4 was a draw. And then 4 wins in a row, each gaining like 5 rating points, and then this draw, which actually loses her rating, funnily enough. Absolutely incredible. What an incredible player. These are the final moments that we see. What a world championship. Only 9 games to dispose of Tan Zhongyi, who's an incredible player, 25-36, and before this event started, she was much higher. She's lost, the 20 rating points that Ju Wenjun gained. So she was like 25-56, Ju Wenjun was 25-60. It was incredibly close. I don't think anyone was calling this absolute dominant display from Ju Wenjun. Anyway, I've talked enough. Fantastic. Congratulations to Ju Wenjun. Condolences to Tan Zhongyi. This is the second match she's lost to Ju Wenjun in World Championships after Ju Wenjun won her first against her. And you can't play a chess game by herself. She was on the other side of this. She got a win. She scored early on. Ju Wenjun was just incredible. That's all I have to say. Short recap, but short game really. Tan Zhongyi had an hour left on the clock.